Hello, my name is Allison Hill, and I'm a senior data scientist at IBM on the AI strategy and innovation team. Prior to that, I was at our studio for about 3 years, where I was a product manager for data science communication and a professional educator there. And one of the things that I got really good at when I was at our studio was building and deploying many different kinds of websites. Sometimes they were very serious, sometimes they served a real purpose, sometimes they were silly and frivolous, trying to see what I could do and what I could build. So in the month of December 2021, I thought it'd be fun to show you some of uh, what I learned when I was working at our studio about using rmarkdown to build simple websites and to deploy them quickly and easily on Netlify. And the reason for that is that Netlify is offering to do cash donations to charities for every site that you build and deploy in the month of December. It doesn't even have to be, it's called dusty domains, but it doesn't have to be an old site that you're dusting off. It doesn't have to be an old domain that you've already purchased. It can even be a .netlify.app domain. So I thought it was the perfect excuse to get a little creative and have a little fun with website making, because it's one of my favorite things to do. And I'm of the opinion that you can never have too many websites. So 12 more than what you had before, even if it was 0, is a perfect number. So today I had a kind of different plan for what I was going to do, but then I happened to log on to Twitter and I saw a tweet by Julia Silgay, one of my friends from our studio. And she tweeted out the feminine urge to totally throw your website away and make it afresh. And I felt like this was a plea, a call for help, an SOS from Julia, because I know Julia's website. So Julia's website probably gets a ton of traffic because she has blog posts pretty weekly, pretty regularly, to follow along with Tidy Tuesday, showing use cases for being able to use the Tidy Model suite of packages, which is what she works on at our studio. And I know that she picked the Hugo academic theme for this, so it's a really popular theme. She probably chose that theme because one of the reasons might have been because that was really the recommended theme at the time when she switched themes. I know she was previously using, I think, Cocoa Enhanced Hugo theme. Better put Hugo in there, otherwise I'll get Christmas stuff. Yeah, so this was one that looks like the last commit was quite some time ago. 2 years ago looks like the the most recent one. So this was a really great theme. I actually really liked it looks like the demo site doesn't work anymore. So I really liked the design of this theme. Let's see, does that work? No. But it's clearly not maintained anymore. And so Julia had picked this originally because she was an original kind of blogdown user. But as these things go, that developer decided not to maintain that Hugo theme anymore. So she switched a couple of years ago to the Hugo academic theme. And at the time when she switched, this was definitely the most reliable Hugo theme there was. It had the most full features, and it was really a good a good choice at the time. I thought it was the one that I chose as well, so I'm biased, but I thought it was a really good, well-maintained theme that you could always kind of count on working. But since then, some things have changed with the Hugo academic theme. I found it difficult to maintain over time. They did switch some of the underlying infrastructure of the Hugo theme. So now you have to have like this kind of like module set up with Hugo. It's a little bit more difficult for me to maintain on my own. So I ended up actually developing a new Hugo theme that I have like skin in the game on. I'm dedicated to making it work because it's what I use for my current website. So I'll show that real quick. So this is using the Hugo Apparel theme. And you can kind of watch the repos here. There's 3 repos in this organization for Hugo Apparel. 4. One is the docs, one is the actual theme repo, and then others are ones that I've used for teaching in the past. So this is a repo that you can kind of watch, you can keep up to date on, and I'm definitely motivated to keep up to date because it's what powers my current website. So this is what I wanted to convert Julia's site to. So she didn't ask, but we can consider maybe her tweet a plea for help, and I will show you using her site how to convert over to Hugo Apparel from a Hugo academic site. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at Julia's GitHub repository. And I will tell you that there's a hard stop here where here's her blog, my blog, but with blogdown and Hugo. I had told myself that I wasn't going to even attempt to do this unless she had a very specific method for knitting her posts. And I'll show you what that is. So the first thing I did, I was on my cell phone at the time. So I logged on and followed her GitHub, and I was looking at it and I was like, I'm not going to do this unless when I go into content and I look at her blog posts, unless she's been knitting to Markdown. Okay, so this is one of those things in blogdown that is tricky. When you first decide to use blogdown, you can technically you can knit to either HTML or to a Markdown file. And let's see, I think Emmy Tanaka has the best blogdown versus distill. I think she had a really great, it's back when it was called Radix. She had a great visual of this. Let's see. So these are cut off a little bit, but you can see that she's starting here with blogdown. So you can choose to have a .rmd blog post for your content, or a .md post, a Markdown file, or a .r Markdown file, R Markdown spelled out. And this was the first time we had ever introduced a .r Markdown file. No one knew what it was. It was pretty confusing. I still think it's a little bit too confusing. But the issue was that blogdown and Hugo specifically was not meant to be used with Pandocs Markdown. Now, our Markdown users typically are Pandoc users. You may just not know it. You may be using our Markdown as a nice, user-friendly wrapper around Pandoc, which is a command line tool. And that's the part at the very end of the pipeline that allows you to knit to all these different wonderful output formats that I've been showing you, to postcards, to distill pages, to a slide deck, maybe built with Reveal.js, for example, Flex Dashboard, all of those. Pandoc is kind of the Swiss Army knife that's allowing you to sort of chop up your Markdown file and spit out something totally different that looks totally different for the eyes of people who want to actually consume your stuff instead of who want to see your source code. Now with blogdown, EUA wanted to preserve the ability to use Pandoc. Okay, so that was .rmd files. Those are knit with Pandoc, and those are knit directly to HTML. Okay, so it goes through blogdown HTML _page is the output format, which is actually using bookdown HTML document too, and kind of all the stuff under the hood. But then you see this thing that's Pandoc. That's Pandoc. Okay, and then that's HTML. Okay, so now if Julia had been knitting her her blog post to HTML, I would have kind of put a hard stop on here and been like, maybe you don't want to switch to Hugo Apparel right now. The reason being is that Hugo Apparel, the way I built it, it was kind of a specific decision that I had to make early on, and that was that I wanted to support Markdown-based content. I feel that that's the most portable for blog posts. And I feel that you're just going to have less problems. You can switch themes more easily if you have knit to Markdown files instead. And that's kind of how Hugo is built. So Hugo has some really, really nice features that are built into Hugo itself that I wanted to take advantage of in Hugo Apparel. And that includes some really nice syntax highlighting that's built in. So if you have to enable this and go this direction, you have to decide on a different syntax highlighter. And this gets kind of complicated and in the weeds, but it ended up being a really early decision that I had to make. And I had really good discussions with Christophe Derval, Maël Salmon, and we ultimately decided that in order to preserve the things that I really liked about Hugo and about this Hugo theme, I decided to support these output formats. So if you're going to be a Hugo Apparel user, you need to commit to the Markdown way of life. So you either need to write your blog posts as MD files or as .r Markdown files that are knitted to .markdown files. And that is exactly what Julia has done. So she has some MD files. Now these I'm going to assume are probably from her original blog. So that's why she just converted them to MD. She does have some HTML, so I'm going to have to kind of like, look at those. There are some RMD files, but lately, if you look at all the bundled posts, which are what she's been doing lately, these are the ones that I'm very scared that I don't want her to have to reknit. If you look at these, all of these are in the bundle index.r markdown knitted to Markdown. Okay, so what you're actually seeing is the Markdown file. So I'm hopeful that I would not have to deliver to Julia news that she would have to reknit any files. It's possible some of these older HTML files, like that may not work out too well for us, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm kind of hopeful that some of these may not have too much data. Like this one, for example, I took a peek at and I was like, oh, you could reknit that obviously, or you could even just convert this to Markdown. There's no R in there. So it's from 2016. So this was the first thing that I looked at. Was I looked at the source And like this one, for example, does have some R code in it, it looks like. So it's possible that this code will not run anymore. And so that's why I really don't want to have to tell somebody that they have to reknit any old blog posts, especially ones dated from 2016. They're not going to probably work the same way, and I don't want the posts to get bungled up. So that's my only kind of caveat, that I wouldn't attempt this if you had a lot of those. It looks like Julia doesn't, and she was able to convert to Hugo Academic. So I'm going to give it a go, but that's my the big I don't know. So I don't know how this is going to work. I haven't attempted it, but I thought I would do it with you all just to show a use case. I'm hoping that it's going to work. So what I'm going to do is I am going to fork her repository, and I hope I haven't done that before. Okay. And it'll probably take a while to build locally. I'm going to do the same thing that I've done when I've created new ones. I'm going to copy the HTTPS. I'm going to go into RStudio locally, and I'm going to clone this repository. Okay, new project. Woof, things are slow. What's going on? Okay, version control, git, paste, juliaselgate.com. Let's just open it up in the same session. Create project. Now this is going to take a little bit because she's got a lot of stuff in there. So while I'm watching that go, we're only at 35%. So I'm going to go back over here. While I'm watching that go, let me see if there's anything else in this. This is a really great blog post. Again, this is by Emmy Tanaka, and it was back in 2018, but it was about Radix. At that time, Distill was called Radix. It was renamed to Distill later, versus blogdown. And it was kind of trying to do a deep dive into these different output formats. Distill is a little bit different. So if you're going back and forth with Distill, Distill goes from .rmd to HTML. It does go through Pandoc, so it does have like a markdown component, but what you're seeing is an HTML, you're knitting to HTML. It's not going to be terribly easy if you start off with Distill and want to move to blogdown. I'll be perfectly honest. That would be a little bit of a tough thing. You might have to do some reknitting. If you have the knitted, if you had the knitted markdown versions of posts, you might be able to get away with it and be able to just, kind of not reknit, but port both the .rmd and the .md over to a blogdown post and kind of do it post by post. I'd check it, but that would be the way that I would attempt that. I get a lot of questions about like, can I convert if I choose Distill first? Can I convert to blogdown? And my answer is usually like, you're going to have a bit of a tough time doing that. If you're thinking that you're going to use blogdown, you might have heard that it has a really steep learning curve, high burden of maintenance. I think we took care of almost all of my complaints about blogdown in version 1.0. So I really encourage you to check out the blog post on the RStudio blog for version 1.0. We added a lot of features, and Iwe, really listened to my complaints as well as all of the users that we were hearing from in the GitHub repositories and at workshops that we were leading. And we really made a lot of improvements workflow-wise to the package. So if you've been previously scared about blogdown, I wouldn't worry about it, but I'm guessing that most of the people who are watching this might be in the camp of having a Hugo academic site and wanting to transfer it over. So I see that Julia's site has finished. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start by creating a new branch. And I'm going to do this in Git or in the RStudio UI for Git. So first thing I'm going to do, I don't see that Julia has, let's see, she hasn't our profile. Let's check that out. So she does have this blogdown method HTML. So I would switch this if we're going to go into Apparel. And she's got the blogdown Hugo version 0.65. So that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and call this Hugo Apparel. Okay, so now I haven't tried to build it yet. Let's see if I can build this sucker. Site. Oh, okay. So this is one of the improvements that we added to blogdown version 1.0. You have to install specific Hugo. You're allowed to now install specific Hugo versions. Now this is really, really important, especially if you're dealing with Hugo Academic or what's now called Welcome, because there were a lot of breaking changes with different Hugo versions and different Welcome versions. So the theme actually had versions, and then Hugo had versions, and those things depended on each other. And sometimes you had these awful dependencies where you'd get into where you had to update Hugo in order to use the newest version of Welcome. And it was really difficult. Sometimes you just kind of wanted to keep your theme files and not update those. But the problem was if your Hugo install needed to be updated for some reason, then you were kind of stuck in this awful catch-22 where you were like chasing down these updates, and it was a really miserable hamster wheel, especially for me with multiple Hugo sites and multiple different Hugo versions needed and theme versions needed. So I'm going to do as I tell you to do in this error message, and I'm going to install the specific version of Hugo. So the reason that blogdown knows this is because Julia has this smartly in her R profile. So if you ever update this or change it, you would need to, restart your R session for it to read it correctly. Okay, so Hugo has been installed, and now I'm able to use that. So I'm going to restart just in case, and let's try to serve the site. Yay. Okay, so her site is currently building with Hugo version 0.65.0. All right, so we're starting from a good place. We're about to tear things up, and it's going to get really messy. So I'm gonna roll up my sleeves here. And I get a little scared doing this kind of stuff, but let's give it a shot. I am going to follow my friend Sylvia Canelon's blog post, Hello Hugo Apparel, converting a blog down site from Hugo Academic. So she and I both did this, and we compared notes, and then she wrote up this great blog post that really details how to do this. So she asked me at first on Twitter, do you think I can get away with making all the changes in a new branch and then merging when finished, or is it better to create a new repo, new Netlify deploy, and then figure out how to point the custom domain to the right spot? So what I said was keep your same repo the way it is. And I did it in a branch myself, and that's what I'm doing in Julia's site. So I first created a new branch, and then I'm going to now install the Hugo Apparel theme alongside Academic. So let me show you where the theme is. The theme files are in themes, and there's a folder for Hugo Academic. So that's what I mean by alongside. It's going to literally just be a folder inside there. We're going to make sure that all the academic shortcodes are preserved. So shortcodes are like little bits of Hugo code that a Hugo theme author writes for you that you can use inside of your actual blog post pages, inside of your actual content. So even if we start using a different theme, it's possible that you might have some code in your previous posts that used a shortcode. So that's why we're going to preserve those. Then I removed all the assets. I removed all the custom layouts because I had a lot of Hugo Academic custom layouts that I designed. And then we're going to copy over the Apparel example site from the config toml file and then remove the academic configuration directory. Now, if all that is gobbledygook, that's okay, because that's all I gave Sylvia. And then she took from that and made this amazing, amazing blog post that will walk us through. So I'm actually going to use her blog post because it's so helpful. And I think she has a very beautiful Hugo Apparel site. I love how she themed it. It's very nice and very clean. I just love this theme. I didn't design it from total scratch. I designed it from a theme that was designed by Formspree originally, called Blogophonic. But I did a ton of stuff to make it easier for our users, especially, and easier to style. So you can kind of compare features if you want. Blogophonic is super, super lean, but it had everything I needed to get started. So it was a really, really great skeleton for me to work with. So branch deploy. So create a new Apparel branch from the primary branch of your website, which I did. I don't need to do the set upstream because it does that for me, I believe. Create a new Netlify deploy for your Apparel branch. So I haven't deployed this. I'm going to go ahead and just go to Netlify. We'll just rip that Band-Aid right off. And by the way, does anyone else think that looks like Ryan Gosling? Like every time I go to this page, thinking I'm seeing like one of those memes, like, hey girl, interested in deploying your site? All right, add new site, existing project, GitHub. Let's get Julia going here. Why is everything slow today? Ah, there we go. Okay, so this is tricky because we're actually having Netlify do a build now. So Netlify should be like what you can see when you go to this site. There's no built site located in this repository, okay? The actual default public or published directory for a Hugo site is called public. And that is not existing here. So this is different from how you might have built like maybe your first distill site. And that's how I've been doing a lot of these videos, is actually knitting an HTML file or knitting a collection of HTML files like with Bookdown, and just hosting those on Netlify, those built HTML files. This is very different. This is asking Netlify to build for us. So what Netlify sees is exactly what Hugo needs to build. Hugo doesn't know anything about R, so we are actually knitting locally by serving our site. So any R code that you use in a content piece, like a blog post or something like that, does need to be converted to a markdown file for this to work. And then you push your RMD source files and your MD source files up to GitHub, and then the entire site, like all the Chrome that you see, all the buttons, the CSS, all of that stuff gets put together nicely for you by the Hugo theme by Netlify. So because Julia has, oh, she does not have a Netlify TOML file. That would be my first big thing. She doesn't have a Netlify TOML file, so this might fail. We shall see. But she does have, it's detecting that it's a Hugo site, so it's giving it a build command Hugo, and it's telling it that the published directory is public, which is correct. So it's building in some default stuff. And we've got the branch to deploy as master. We'll go ahead and deploy that. Now, I'm guessing this might fail. One of the reasons it might fail is because I didn't specify the Hugo version. But I want to see what happens. So by default, Netlify is going to use probably a more advanced Hugo version than 0.65.0. Let's see what it does. Looks like it's running Hugo. I don't know what to expect here. Let's see. Oh, Hugo version 8.8.5. Insecure iframe URL. Ooh. Okay, so we've got some insecure content warnings. Site is live. Let's see what it looks like. It's possible that it looks all mucky. Oh, it's actually okay. It's not bad. It looks like it actually works with 0.85. Okay. So that's good news. So I don't really have to worry too much about it. Now, what you can do is use blogdown to help you make sure that Netlify knows exactly what version of Hugo you want to run. So I would do blogdown, check Netlify. Let's check that real quick. Netlify TOML was not found. That is right, I noticed that before. So let's do blogdown config Netlify. Here we go. Okay, so here's how it's telling Netlify. You can see that Netlify already detected this automatically, but we now have a command Hugo. So that's the build command used to build the site. It's going to public, so it knows that Netlify is going to publish that public directory. You can't see it here. You can't see it in GitHub. It's sort of live deployed here, but we don't actually have a folder. And then you can see that there's some niceties here added. I'm not going to go into too much detail of those, but this would be what you would do to tell Netlify to build with a different version. So if our deploy hadn't worked, we could go ahead and do this and commit it, and Netlify would now know that we're going to be building with 0.65.0 instead of 8.5. So if we had seen like horrible things like images not showing up or the CSS not being written or gotten a build error and it hadn't deployed, I would have gone back and changed that to fix that. For now, I'm just going to kind of commit and not push this. I don't want to do this right now, but I'm just going to add Netlify TOML file with blogdown. Okay. We've added the file. I'm just going to kind of leave it for now. So now we're going to get started on making sure that when I push, I can actually see the changes I'm making in the branch that I'm in. So I'm not in the master branch. I'm in Hugo Apparel branch. So let's go over to site settings. And you can see that I have this random URL, Elastic Saha. I always forget where these are. It's under build and deploy. Okay, so under branches, you can see control which branches in your Git repository you want to deploy. So we have the production branch as master, deploy only the production branch. I'm going to change that. And I'm just going to change the, no, I'll leave the production branch main. And then I'll say, let me add individual branches because I don't want to add, I don't know how many she has going on there, but I'm going to add Hugo Apparel as a branch. Did that work? Oh, did I not push the branch that? No, that should work. Okay. Now let's get back to deploys. So I actually am gonna, well, maybe I'll leave it. I'm going to keep this here for now. I am gonna change this. Let me go to my site real quick because it makes me nervous. I don't want anything automatic to happen while I'm doing surgery here. Let me go to my website. And I should say at the start that this kind of video is not going to be quick. Okay, let's go to my R profile. Yes, blogdown method, markdown, and then extension R markdown. Okay, I'm gonna change those suckers. She has serve site startup false, yeah, knit on save. She has that to be true. So that means that when you hit save, your post is also going to be knitted at the same time. So it works when you're previewing. We have the Hugo version, we'll change that eventually. She doesn't have a blog down subdir. The subdirectory currently is blog. So that'll actually be the same as with Apparel. So I'll just go ahead and cement that in here. New bundle true, title case true, stop knitting for me, false, false. Yeah, I don't like it knitting for me. Okay, okie doke. So I am gonna change those and then I'm gonna serve site real quick. I just wanna make sure everything looks same. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and push and I'm gonna see if I can see this. Maybe I'll make one quick little change. Let's do under about. This is one of the academic theme weird things. Okay, I'm just gonna push this. Commit. Update our profile for success. All right, push. Now, mainly what I'm doing here, the Netlify tome will be updated as well. So Netlify should do a build. Mainly that's what I want to test here is that Netlify detects my branch, I'm hoping, and it should do a branch deploy because I told it to. There we go. Okay, so it's starting what's called a branch deploy. So you can see it in this deploys view over here. So you can see that I have master and then Hugo Apparel. So this is because I set it up to do individual branches. So I had to name it the same, but you can also set it up to just deploy every single branch. So whenever you create a new branch, you get a new deploy. I think that's a really nice way to start writing blog posts, to start drafting them so that you can see the preview, you can share it with people. If you want to ask friends for feedback on a blog post, you can just create a new branch, make sure you have branch deploys activated. And then, when you delete the branch, the deploy goes away. So this should be using a different version of Netlify or of Hugo. Let's check it out. Yeah, installing Hugo 0.65.0. Okay, it looks like there's still some insecure content. So the way to fix all of these insecure content warnings would be to go through and replace all HTTP links with HTTPS, and then you wouldn't get these warnings. We can do that later for Julia. It looks like those would all be safe. I'm just scanning real quick. Looks like those would all be safe. So let's check out the branch deploy. So you can see that I had Elastic Saha DDD0A2 as my URL before. And then a branch deploy gets the branch name appended to it, then 2 dashes, then the URL that you're working with. So I'm going to keep this open because this is going to be how we're going to preview things. I'm going to close Julia's site because that's going to get confusing to me because my tabs. I'm going to close my site. I'm going to keep my source open just in case. We'll keep our deploys tab open, and I'm going to close out everything I don't need. Okay, so we've, and then she covered the Hugo version. That's perfect. Update Hugo version on Netlify. You don't have to do that if you do it in the Netlify TOML, so you don't have to do that. I should let her know that. Run blogdown check site to find any issues. Good idea. That's one of my favorite functions added for me to do all the stuff that I used to have to remember to do. It just now does it for you. So you can think of this function as like Allison's there holding your hand and checking all of your files for you instead of me, you know, screen sharing with you and saying, oh, wait, check the config file, check this, check that. Okay, so we have some to-do items. We could safely add some things to our git ignore. There's something kind of funky with that one because I would bet that she has those, but it doesn't detect, oh no, yeah, there's no DS store. Checking Hugo version, found three versions of Hugo locally. I'm using 0.65, we knew that. Checking Netlify version, it's a match. Local and remote Hugo versions are identical, that's what we want. Checking content files, this is really good. So this checks to make sure that all the YAML metadata is syntactically valid, that is very good. Found 0 files with future publish date, 0 files marked as drafts. Okay, Julia keeps a very clean content house. Okay. Let's go back to Sylvia's walkthrough. Install the theme alongside academic, change in the config TOML. Okay, now I'm going to go to my own Hugo Apparel docs real quick. And under learn, this is how I tell you, oh, get started. Get started, that's how I tell you to get all set up and create your site. Okay, I'm going to do this. So first, I'm going to make sure I actually have blogdown actually loaded, so I don't have to namespace it. Okay, so this is calling the function new site. I'm going to be using the theme Hugo Apparel. It happens to be in a GitHub organization called Hugo-Apparel also, so it's two things easy to remember. Format TOML, that tells it that I want to keep the configuration file here, TOML, I believe. Because posts are still going to use YAML, but TOML, I want to keep the configuration file as a TOML file. Sample false, so we're not going to add a sample blog post, we don't need to. And empty dirs equals true. With my own personal preference. The directory is not empty. Let's make sure that I'm following what Sylvia tells me to do. Did I do example false? Oh no, that's what I need to do. Oh, it's install theme. That's what I need to do. I should have followed Sylvia's directions entirely. I'm gonna exit out of there. There we go. Okay, update config false force true. Yes, that's what I need. Okay, so do not do new site. I will maybe excise that from the video. Okay. So it should be just downloading the theme files and throwing them in here. Let's watch it. It's kind of unzipping that tar file. You can kind of watch it as it's going. It's a large file. So gobbledygook numbers. This is always when I start having like heart palpitations. It makes me nervous. Like, please work. Please download. So it's essentially just downloading the theme files for you and putting them in the right place and naming them the right thing. That's all it did. So in our Git pane, you can see it just added themes Hugo Apparel. Okay. Oh, and it did add some example stuff. Okay. I should have known to do that. Let's do blog. It looks like, oh no. Oh no, that was in the example site. Okay, that's fine. So it didn't add anything to her actual blog posts. Okay. So Hugo has been installed 0.91. That should work. And do not forget to change the theme option in config TOML file. All right, so this is where we start the conversion. Name of Apparel theme folder and themes. Save it. Now this is where things are going to get ugly for a little bit. At this point, you will probably start to get some error messages like the one below. Don't panic. Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Yeah, that's true. This is where you start feeling like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And that's why we're doing it in a branch, okay? So let's get through the rest of the steps. First, I'm including my errors at this point in case they're helpful validating for you. It says could not build site because certain shortcodes weren't found. That was what I mentioned with the shortcodes being little bits of our code. Okay, let's see. Let's restart. I'm gonna brush that to the side and I'm gonna see what happens when I serve site. It didn't automatically do it. Yeah, so it's got an error. Error building site, failed to render pages, render of page failed, executive template failed, default single, partial head, blah, 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 blah. So this suggests to me that Julia has some custom layouts here. Yep. Okay, so what did she have in her single HTML file? Oh, she has her utterances in here. Okay. So all I'm going to do for now is I'm going to rename this something not single. That's part of the problem. Let's just do not single. And then shortcodes, blogdown, that's fine. Let's see if we have any better luck there. Okay, partial head HTML. Uh-oh. Okay, so that suggests to me that can't evaluate field build in type string. Let's see. I'm going to keep following Sylvia's instructions because I think at this point we have all these things we know are going to happen. Copy all academic shortcodes to layouts root, remove later. All right. Oh, she has short codes. Shortcodes. All right, so let's go back to Hugo Academic. I'm going to copy layouts, shortcodes. My video copy to, so I'm just going to copy these over to the root so that they're actually being used, because once I've switched the theme over to Hugo Apparel, they are being used. Let's see, that's going to be a bundled, I know this. So let's go back to layouts and clean up that file because I think I put those in there. Okay. So let's kind of select all. And then can I move all of them all at once, or does it tell me that I can't do that? Move them all? Okay, that's what I wanted to do. And I'll just delete this untitled. Okay, so I've moved them all in here. I'm not certain that that's what the issue is. Oh, I know what the actual issue is. It's because I haven't updated the Hugo version. Let us update this. So let's see. Log down, see, here's the problem. Hugo version is going to tell me 0.65.0. That is not what Hugo Apparel wants from me. Hugo Apparel would like to be, I think 0.80 is what would be an acceptable one. Let's look at mine. Yeah, I'm at 0.80. Let's just, for safety, we'll update it to 80. And then over in the Netlify toml, 80. Okay. Cross your fingers, boys and girls. Let's see. No, that didn't help. Okay. Oh, because I have to restart because it's still using 0.65. Okay. To CSS, failed to transform CSS processing failed. Invalid CSS after text font. Okay, that I can work with. To CSS. Let's see, is there something in here? There might be something in assets that I think I need to get rid of. Let's go follow. Sylvia has not, yeah, remove all assets. I think that's what the problem is. Before deleting anything, I recommend making a backup of your entire website folder just in case. The assets root folder, delete the images and the SASS folder, which might contain your custom. Yes, there, error building site, CSS. Okay, we're on the right track, folks. Okay, I'm just gonna delete it because I know that, you know, Julia has this in her other branches. So I'm gonna just remove assets entirely. Okay, and then remove all custom layouts. Let's go back to layouts. I kind of already deactivated the not single one. And then shortcodes, I added these back, but I don't think I got any errors about that. Okay, I'm gonna restart just to help things along. Darn. Okay, let's see, Julia might have a slightly different thing with her. She has admin. What is this? Admin. Ooh, get gateway. Ooh. Okay, that scares me. Okay, not gonna use that. Blog. Okay, so these are some old blog files. Oh, these are the figures. Okay, from older blog files. Static. Widgets. Okay, widgets. Markdown libs. Okay, so this is kind of older stuff. Okay, let's go into the config. This is probably part of what's happening too. I'm going to go back to Sylvia because she hasn't let me down yet. Copy over the Apparel example site. Config toml file. Okay, so I'm just going to deactivate this one altogether. Academic config. Okay, so now we don't even have a config toml file. We're going to go over to themes, Hugo Apparel, go into the example site and copy that configuration toml file over to the project root. Okay. So now we have this. We can change this to Julius. Okay. So it just looks very different. This is one thing that's not at all portable between Hugo themes is the configuration file. You have to start all over with a config file. So I really recommend just kind of renaming it so that you can keep it. It might have some important things there that you like, but this should suffice. Okay. My error message. Yep, we're still getting some stuff. Remove the academic config directory. I am going to just delete it. Don't need it. I have a single configuration file for Hugo Apparel on purpose. It's a little bit easier. Learned the hard way that the error below was due to not using an updated version of Hugo, which is why I included that step in pre-work. Okay. All this to say, I'm hoping you don't see the error below. Okay. Let's make sure. That it's reading the right blog down one. Okay, it is using that. Let's see. Still doing major surgery, still getting that invalid CSS. Ooh, fixed something. All right. It is trying to do some rendering, which makes me angry. It's trying to render some 2016 site and I told it not to, right? Why? I'll have to look back at that. I did not want anything to be remitted. So it shouldn't have if it was detecting. Oh, it might be because I have it set up to MD and it was detecting that and there was an existing HTML file. Okay, so I'm not going to check those changes in. So I'm going to have to be really, really careful here. I'm not sure why any of these things changed. Oh no. Okay. These are the nightmare scenarios that I don't want to deal with. I'm actually pretty sure that Julia didn't use any of these shortcodes that were enabled by Hugo Academic. So we'll have to see about that. But the good news is, oh, there's no package called Gene-Ostener. Well, I didn't want you to reknit those things anyways, so it shouldn't have mattered. Let's check it out. So here's our first Hugo Apparel site, okay? We have an about page, we have a blog, projects. All right, so I'm going to go back a step because what I didn't do is copy the Apparel example site. Or no, I didn't, I only needed the config. Okay, so we're actually good. We have some missing pages, but those just haven't been filled in yet. Okay, so migrating the content. Assuming you've made it this far and are able to at least serve a live site, we have them, that uses the new Hugo Apparel theme, you're ready to start migrating your content. Files are organized differently in Hugo Apparel, and the next steps detail the high-level changes I made to get my content to fit in the new structure. So file organization. So in the example site, there are some files that will populate some pages that don't exist in Julia's current site. Let's check it out. The first one is the home page. All right, so I'm going to copy the one over from the example site. And that one is actually in content index_index.md. So I'm going to go over to the example site, go into content. It's this one. So this is the home page. I'm going to make a little copy of it and move it over. And just save it in content. Okay. So title, let's call it Julia Silge. And let's go to her current site, what it looked like. I don't know if she had a title. Let's see, let's look at the config file that she did have before. Is there a site title? Oh, it was probably in one of those deleted files. Let's look at this one here. Inspect. The data science blog by Julia Silge. That's the description. Okay, we can do that. Actually, I think it's going to be better. It's going to go right here under her name. So I'll let her fill that in, obviously, since it's her site. Maybe I think what I've been doing is sometimes putting my title there. So let's do that. She's a data scientist and software engineer. And then I'll just copy, well, I'll copy it from the actual about page. So in content, in her about, she has a nice little, let's see. Oh, it's an authors. Authors, admin, index. There we go. Oh, there's a great little bio. We'll copy that. Short, sweet, to the point. Beautiful. All right, and then let's see, I see an illustrated blog avatar. Let's check that out. Oh, that's cute. Okay. Let's see. Save that. There we go, Julia Silge, data scientist and software engineer. And then we can update all of her social. Here's her little bio here. This page is also really nice. I have to spend a lot of time making this super customizable. So one thing I really like is that you can do image left like false, and then so that means that the image is actually going to be on the right. And then let's do text align left true. And then when you do that, you kind of see things flip, and then the text align goes over to the left. So keep that for Julia. Let's see what size her avatar looks like. Such a great photo. What Apparel wants is it wants that in static in an IMG. So I'm going to leave that for now. Okay. Because we're nice, maybe I'll update some of her social stuff real quick. So in config toml, this is sort of like your like your way of driving kind of metadata about yourself into the site. So those social links, for example, how you're going to do that is going to scroll down to here where it says param social. So let's open up. All of this stuff should be stored in authors admin. I should have left that open. Right. Can I do this like, let's see if I can do, can I add a source column? Switch, can I move that over there? There we go, that's what I want to do. Okay, cool. Now I have like a side by side over here. So let's find it again. It's not the exact same format, so you can't just like copy and paste, which is the unfortunate thing. But let's see. She has Twitter first. So all you have to do to reorganize is to move it up. So let's do twitter.com, Julia Silke. Next, she has GitHub. Cool, I have that too. Julia Silke. She doesn't have Facebook. I just had that as an example. Don't blame her. Oh, she has YouTube. I have YouTube in here. Okay, so let's just switch this one. YouTube, FAB, perfect. And then her link is here. All right, Stack Overflow. Is there an icon for that? Oh, cool. Dash Overflow, FAB cell. Okay, so I'm just going to do this because I want to show you how it flows. LinkedIn, did I do LinkedIn? Because it's kind of cool. Like once you populate it in here, it's going to show up on your about page. It shows up on your content page. And that's just a really nice feature, I think, of Hugo websites in general, is not having to repeat yourself. Even though the configuration file can seem sort of overwhelming, that's really the benefit of it right there. They can be kind of smarter about things. Now this is actually using the AI. So I actually included academic icons as one of the icon packs. So these are all Font Awesome icons. They can either be brand icons or solid icons, any of the Font Awesome free icons, but you can also use academic icons as well. And all of this is documented in the online documentation for the theme. So if I save that, looks like I'm missing the LinkedIn one. I probably should have updated. Oh, I did link. No, she has LinkedIn, FAB. Oh, I did AI, FAB. Beautiful. All right. Okay. So now when I click on about, let's populate that one because that one is a really high payoff page, I think. And I think Julia basically did it here. Like she kind of had made an about page. And this was one thing that I was super passionate about when I made the Hugo Apparel theme was I wanted a proper about page. I wanted something that was useful and that actually helped people get sort of a window into you and how you use your website and what you're trying to share using your website. And it's really an important page, I find, as someone who's recently been doing a lot of hiring, for example. I want to know in your words and with your pictures, with your images and your style, a little bit more about you. So you can see on my site, there's an about page and it's like super customizable, which I really love. And I spent a lot of time building a lot of little like knobs for you to turn. Okay. So I think it's really, really fun, obviously. We can change this. I'm going to change this to about me. These are the menu at the top. And then let me go back to Julia's actual site and see. She's got blog, about, and resume. So maybe I'll put blog first because she seems like she wants that. Now I don't have to actually move it. I'm going to put 1 and 2, but you know, just because for clarity, I'll move it up. So all you really had to change was the weight there to change the order, but she has blog and then about. And then she has a resume. Now, resume is one thing we're not going to necessarily be able to totally port that information over. I'm actually kind of working on that right now, and we have a lot of wonderful contributors to the Hugo Apparel theme trying to make that work. So I'm not going to be able to make this perfect, but I think what this is basically projects. So I'm going to keep the project portfolio as 3, and I'm going to leave talks there because I think those are a really nice thing. I'm going to remove collections because she definitely doesn't need that, and she doesn't need the elements page. And then let me make sure real quick while I'm down here, I see a license. I think she has a license somewhere. I saw it on her about page maybe. Ah, yes, my blog posts are released under that one. So let's check out the license while we're kind of noodling around. Oh, I have to add it. Okay. Okay, now this is where she has some of her about stuff. So let's go back to themes, Hugo Apparel, and over in the example site, I am going to copy over the about bundle here. Copy to, and then actually I think I'm going to get a clash notice because there's already an about bundle. Okay, real quick, go back to content. I'm going to rename this. And I know I'm not committing at this point. I should be doing all of this. Maybe I should do a quick cleanup on Git. I'm not going to check in things that I don't want to check in. So give me a second. Update Hugo versions, commit. New config file for apparel theme. Commit. Okay. I probably shouldn't have deleted that. I'll probably have to restore that. That's her icon for let's see. Can I undo that one? I won't commit that one. And then let's see, let's do rm config directory. Just looking real quick. Just have the sharing image. She likes that kind of small sharing. Okay. Oh, and then she has a Google Analytics. Okay. I can come back to this because it's all in her GitHub repo. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean that out. Let's see. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, that should take care of all the about stuff. New about page. Add to that. New homepage. We're getting there. Now, a lot of this other stuff I didn't actually want to have changed. Let's see. Deactivate custom single layout for now. It's kind of a flag to myself that I need to figure that out. Oh, add Apparel theme files. Okay. So some of these things are things that I'm not going to want to commit. I don't know why it's trying to renet for me, and I wish that it hadn't. It's one of the probably more frustrating aspects of this process is making sure that your content files stay the same, but your theme is the only thing that changes. And that's one of the things that is important to realize about that blogdown serve site function. So serve site both knits and runs Hugo for you. So that can be a little bit confusing when you're first starting out. It does two things. It's talking to two different things. One is R and knitting, and then the other is Hugo. So I'm going to go back to Hugo Apparel and do what I had set out to do, which was I wanted to give Julia a proper about page in Apparel. So I'm going to copy that about bundle, and now I renamed the other one that she had from Hugo Academic as Academic About. So let's head over there now. Okay, and of course it renamed it to Untitled Helpful About. Okay, so now this is about, it's a website template. But these are the kind of bare bones structure of this site. Let me pull it up. We go to about, here we go. So you can see that there's a couple elements that we're working with. So this is called the header, this is the sidebar, and then this is the main. Make that a little bit, oops. Make that a little bit smaller for you so you can see with the files. Header, main, sidebar, sidebar. And now nicely, I've added a thing where you can actually put in an audio file for how to say your name. I noticed that Julia actually uses this. She has to tell people my last name is pronounced Silgi, 2 syllables, short I, hard G. So she can actually make an audio here to add that. So what you're seeing here is kind of the base template of what an about page looks like in Apparel. So I'm going to do a really, really rough version for Julia. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because if she actually didn't want to use the site, she's obviously going to personalize it herself and she can do it way better than anybody else can for her. I'm just going to make it so that you can see how to do it. So author, Julia Silgi, role, let's copy how she describes it. She seems to be okay with rounded. Circle, square, rounded. Oh, okay, so she has circle. I kind of like the rounded square as like just a little bit different. So I'm going to keep it that way. She can obviously change it, show social links, how to say my name, leave blank to exclude that if you want. And then I do have like this link list label where you have some interest, like bookmarks elsewhere, etc. And I think that's kind of nice. It's not necessarily meant for like social links. It's more meant for providing other links to other things. So maybe what I might do is maybe use it to highlight her books. So I'm going to call it books. And then let's see, copy the link for text mining here. Actually, I should like open these and actually copy the actual. Well, maybe it's better to be shorter. She has such a nice summary here. Supervised machine learning for text. I have written. And modeling with tidy data principles. And obviously you can use these links for anything. I see a lot of people using it for, different organizations that you might be a part of, or if you are an academic, you'll often have, an academic website or different websites for different organizations that you're part of. You do that. Okay. Now we want to port her image over. So her image is currently in content, authors, admin, avatar JPEG. So I'm going to copy that one. Well, I mean, is there any reason to keep it there? I'll keep it there and just make a copy of it. She can go back and remove these old ones. So let's go to Julia Silgi. It wants it in static IMG. And I've forgotten how exactly I say to do this. So let's go to site configuration. No, it's Apparel variables. I give you those. Social icons we did, menus we sort of did. Page configuration, that's where I get into the about page. Okay. Avatar.jpg, perfect. So I named it the right thing. Not updating. Okay. Let's make sure that I haven't done anything silly, because that's bound to happen while I'm doing this. Okay. About me. Let's make this. I think she called it like the data science blog. So that just stays the way it is. Header, text align right, show title, headline false. Hi. My name is Julia Silgi. Nice to meet you. Oh, I should copy that from the actual. I keep saying that over and over again. All right, she had an about, right? No, she had, it was an index. No, it's in, wait, it was an author. Oh my gosh, how many times am I gonna make that mistake? Okay, this is what I wanted. Okay, I'm gonna put this up here. Is that gonna be too long? That's kind of sweet. I like that. Okay. Oh, this is just shaping up to be really lovely. I like it. Okay. So we have data scientist and software engineer. I'm going to close these because these are all academic ones. Okay. So that gets me to the header. Now let's go to the sidebar again. And I think it doesn't look like I have a separate space for like org, and I think Julia says that. Let's see what I do. Why is my website? Yeah, okay. Why was my link not working? Okay. How many heart attacks? Okay. Yeah, so I like that. Books I've written. So she has some nice books there. Now what we want to focus on is this main over here. So I've done the header. Hi, my name is Julia Slogan. Nice to meet you. Maybe I'll take away, let's see, I have something fairly repetitive there in the header. Let's, there we go. Take that out. And about, I'm a data scientist and software engineer at our studio where I work on open source modeling tools. That's very nice. Okay. And if she wanted to, just so you know, you can actually include, you know, emojis here. So I think like, does wine work? Is wine an emoji? Does wine? No, I forget which ones are actual emojis. I think what's one? Let's just do smile just to make sure that I'm not lying to you. Yes. Okay. So let's see. Okay, now I have to figure this out. Let's see. Emoji wine. Oh, it's wine glass. Okay. Let's see how often I use that. Is that not enabled here? I'm sure that doesn't. Of course, the one. Okay. I'm just gonna leave it and move on because really the emojis are not critical there, but they do work. If you can find one that's in the Hugo emoji library. So that might be why. Okay, and so then the nice thing is when you kind of scroll down, you'll notice that the sidebar kind of becomes sticky. So then you can just kind of see the main content flowing. And this is sort of like your bookmark. And you can switch this side of it. So you can see, if you go back up to about, you have this about me. You can show header true. So that's the hi, my name is. Sidebar left false. We can make it true. So that flips the sidebar to the other side. So really easy to do, kind of nice to do, I think. And then you can, inside the header itself, you can text align right. Let's do that to true. Just to show an example. So there, so things kind of move over there. I'm gonna keep that as false because I kind of like the balance before. Okay, and it always resets to the home page. All right. So now, Julia did have a little bit more about herself here. So I'm going to copy and paste again from there. So let's go to authors, admin, index. I'll just copy all of that. That's great. So I'm going to put that inside content about main. So it goes into here in what's called the intro. Now this, you have to worry a little bit about indentation here because it's markdown. I hope this doesn't get bungled. Let's see. There. Okay. So let's call that about me. I'm going to have it pull, I think in her current site, she pulls on her main page. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the recent posts. So I'm going to say, let's go back to the configuration file because that's how we actually change that. This is up at the top. We are going to go to params, I believe. Let's see, maybe it was up higher and I already missed it. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to have the main sections just be blog because that's what Julia did. So I'm going to show only blog posts in there because right now, before I hit save, I'll show you on the about. It's indexing projects as well, and it would also do talks if she had any. So I'm just going to limit it to blog because that's mimicking what she has already. And then back here on this page, it says number featured 3, pulling from main sections in config toml file. So let's bump that to 5. So now that should just show the first, the most recent 5 blog posts on this page. Why does it say about me with a question mark? About me, maybe? Okay. So now you can see that what's populating here are the 5 most recent blog posts that she had, which is pretty cool, I think. And then she has a little outro here. So I want to make sure that I mimic that too. So it's outro down here. And here you can use font awesome icons. And I show you an example in the example site page. Let's see. I'm going to copy this part and throw it here. So we're going to show the outro too, and then she's got her Ko-fi link there. There, if my blog has helped you, you can buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. And she can move that up too. It doesn't matter. Featured categories are stats, tidy models. You can configure that here. It says number of categories 3. So it seems like those are the only categories she has because it's only showing 2. You could also set to 0 to exclude that completely. So then it just shows the 5 most recent blog posts and goes on from there. So I think we've made Julia a pretty good site. My avatar is not showing up, so let me figure that out. Static img avatar.jpg. Now, where did I tell in the documentation I say to do? Oh, it goes inside sidebar. It doesn't go inside here. Okay, move that over to content. You'd think I'd know my own. There we go. So we've got to replace that avatar.jpg there. We should be cooking now pretty well. Yay! All right, that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. There's definitely going to be some things with the blog posts. Some of them got reknit. I wouldn't push those to have them build. She could also go through and make these pages nice under the page configuration. You can kind of go through and see how to build those out with images. She doesn't have any talks, so maybe we just remove that completely. Let's just go ahead and fix that. It goes in the config toml file. We'll just kind of remove that link from the top. Config toml, go down to the menu. Let's just remove talks entirely. And then that should be sufficient. She does have this project. This is going to be something that you'd probably want to change with Hugo Apparel. So you need to kind of go through and look at the example site and how to change those, but it should work basically the same way. So if I go over to themes, Hugo Apparel, example site under content, there's a project thing. It does need this underscore index.md file, which is currently what's missing from Julia's because it wasn't required as part of the Hugo academic. Let's see if I can just like copy this out and see what happens. Because I have this affliction of wanting to make everything beautiful. Sometimes it hurts. Okay, I'm just going to copy this over to her project MD file. And then let's see what that looks like. Even I have no idea what to expect. Sometimes, oh, look at that. It's gorgeous. Okay, cool. So then you'd obviously customize the words on it. You wouldn't say a project portfolio to grow. Let's see what she says under her resume. Projects. So let's just call it that for now. Under index project. I'm going to leave the description empty, but you should fill that in. So one cool thing about this is that, not one cool thing, I think this whole thing is very cool. I obviously spent a lot of time working on it and perfecting it. One of the things that I really like that I did here, and this was built around what the original author did with the blogophonic theme, But this is a list grid, for example. You can also do a list layout here. So they're all up and down. You can also do list sidebar. And that does a little sidebar for you. And then you can have like little images there. So you can do all kinds of different layouts. I think it's really, really, really flexible. So I'm going to keep this as a list. Let's see. Okay. So I think we've basically like made it so that I think someone like Julia, who knows her stuff, I mean, you'd have to figure out how to get this resume in here. I didn't port that over, but I did get the projects in. Somebody like Julia could obviously get started with this maybe and make the best of things, squeezing some lemons out of lemonade here, or squeezing some lemonade out of some lemons here. So, you know, we all have these sites that, you know, if you're really serious about blogging and you're really serious about keeping up with them, sometimes there's a little bit of maintenance involved. But if you're interested in changing over to the Hugo Apparel theme, hopefully this has given you like a non-scary introduction into how I might approach that. We're definitely working on Hugo Apparel. There's people who are contributing, which is really great. It's an open source project. Definitely, as I mentioned before, I have skin in the game. I really care about this theme because it's what I use to build my own site. And I also made it really for our community so that we could have a Hugo theme that we can rely on. The intense purpose of it is to not have it break on you. That's one of my like real commitments, because I wouldn't want it to break on me either. So I'm going to kind of use the golden rule of treating you all how I'm going to treat myself, which is with extreme kindness when I can. So I hope this has given you a great start to getting started with Hugo Apparel. I'm going to go through and finish up making sure that I've got everything here that I need. Looks like I don't have a license, so I'm just gonna like clean up some loose ends real quick. So bear with me. I'm just gonna kind of copy some files over. These would all be things that would be there if we had used the example site. So in content, there's a license file. I'm just gonna copy that over into the root here. And there's nothing to block it, so that should just work. And I think that's the same as what Julia's current license is. Yeah, so so my blog posts are licensed, and and it says posts. Okay, let's go back. Content, license. I think it's actually blog is the URL, right? Blog. Yes, okay. Oh, and you know what? I should fix this. She's got images. So let's go back to themes under Hugo Apparel, example site, content, blog. Let's add this underscore index.md, copy to content, blog. I'm just gonna replace it. Replace. Okay. I hope I don't live to regret that one. Blog, index.md. Okay. I'm just going to title it blog. I'm going to leave the description empty. Somebody else can fill it in. This is Julia. Okay, let's see if that works. Fun stuff. Okay, so we've got the images showing up. Now there's all kinds of things that you can do here also, like you can show the author byline, but you know, if it's always you, for example, you can be like, okay, that's kind of silly. Thumbnail left, that's for the list sidebar layout only, which is what we're looking at. So Julia could add even an image here. Oh gosh, and then when I say that, I just want to do it so that I can show you all. Let's do it. Let's make it nice. We'll make it nice for Julia. She's such a nice person. Okay, let's see, is this one? Ooh, that's lovely. Okay, so let's do that. And then let me look at my own documentation before I lead you astray. Let's see, section configuration. So this is what a section is. Like blog is a section, talks are a section, projects are a section. Here we go. To display an image at the top of the sidebar, add an image file to the root of the content section and name the file sidebar listing. Okay, so let's copy this one and we're gonna name it sidebar listing. Go back to content, blog, and then right in the root, sidebar listing. Nice. Okay. Let's see if she has anything when you go to actual blog. She doesn't have anything there. Well, it's okay. can just leave it. She can edit that as she pleases. We can add Julia Silgay here. Oh, I guess that's going to be super repetitive. Julia Silgay, written by Julia Silgay. Let's do title blogs. How many times can I type Julia Silgay in this video? Okay. And then below this cascade thing is to set up common front matter for all pages inside blog. So if you don't have, if you wanted to use the same kind of YAML basically and got tired of entering it, you can use this cascade. If you have it inside the actual blog post itself, it'll override it. But this is kind of a nice way, like if you're tired of filling an author, you know, your name, excuse me, you can do that. Okay, so I think we're nearing the end. I wanted to be sure to add the sharing image because I find that this is a hard one for people. So I want to go back to the config toml file real quick. Config toml file. Oops. Okay. So there's things that you can also change here. So like org name, you can just we've got a data science blog. You can change any of these things. So that's going to change the copyright down here. There, you can see like made with Hugo Apparel. You can change the favicon. So just put in the image static image folder, IMG. You can change the logo. That's that little logo right there. You can change that. Main sections, that again only really corresponds to that about page. So it's a little confusing that it's here, but that's what it is. Nav all caps is true. I like that personally, but you don't have to do that. You can set it to false. Different ways that you can kind of customize. Let's see, what did Julia have over here? Oh, she has it like that. Okay, so let's leave it like that for her. Social and header, I have that false, but you can, I didn't want to have social too many places, but you can put it up in the header as well. Okay. And now the sharing image. So we need to place this in IMG, static IMG. So let's see, I actually think we have one here that we should be using. This one is good. Might want to make it a little smaller, so maybe we do small. I'm going to rename it. Well, let's see. If I rename it, I can just like copy from the rename and not actually rename it. Oop, yeah, I know the file says. Thank you. So let's do this. So it still needs to be IMG. I shouldn't have erased that. Okay. Now, when we do this, you're not going to see anything change, but what I want to show you is how to check it. So you go to inspect, and then let's look at Twitter. So if you look up, for example, like here's Twitter card image. Oh, it's not updating. It's still showing the revoir JPEG. Oh, for this page, that's right. Because so for this page specifically, it's always going to use the home page image. So that won't actually change it. Let's see if I think maybe about might be, or projects will pick it on. There we go. So projects, you can see this OG image and then Twitter image. So they're actually going to be using that image that we just put in there, that Unsplash image. Lovely. Okay, I think this is looking really good. There's license. She has a nice contact page. Maybe not because we didn't add it. Okay, another thing. I need to add that from the example site also. Content. It's the form. So shall we copy that over for her? Okay. There we go. So now you have a wonderful little contact page. So now that is true. That is a true statement. And all of these links should have updated. So you can see like all of those links are correct. So she can add stuff in there. Contributors, she doesn't need that. So I should remove that from the footer. Let's look in the footer real quick. Very bottom, contributors, not necessary. Right, we're nearing the end of this. Oh, did I just close it? Okay. All right, so we're getting there. So, you know, if I were Julia, what I would do is I would maybe kind of make this image like a little bit more narrow. So it's a little bit more of a, you know, not taking up too much space. She can play around with how many posts are shown on the first page, for example. She can play around with all kinds of different things. I'm hoping that the code looks good. Code looks good. That's another thing in the config toml file. She can also hook up her utterances. So she'll need to do that because I noted that she has utterances right now for comments. So she would need to reconfigure that. So here's the configuration for that currently. We're actually just about to change that. I'm going to try to make sure that the old way of doing it is still respected. The other thing that we haven't talked about is how to customize the actual color and font of your site. And this is one thing that I spent a decent amount of time in Apparel working on. I think that Julia would like the violet theme. This is one of my favorites that was designed by Desiree de Leon. I think it's pretty cool. I love it. It's really nice and light and happy. And it reminds me a little bit of Julia. So she could do that. She could change, there's all these wonderful built-in ones. Peach is also a really fun one that I like. It's a little bit different, but I really thought this was a cool one that, that Desiree worked on. And we made sure that for these, there's always enough contrast between the text and the background. So we made sure that these are a little bit more accessible color themes, so you don't really have to worry about that. You could just kind of plug and play and go. Poppy is another fun one that's a little bit more orange, I believe. So that was peach. Poppy, yeah, that's kind of a fun one too. I just love all of these. Desiree did such an amazing job. Plum is like a little bit more wintry. And then there's documentation on the Apparel site for how to update the theme also and make it totally custom. So for example, Sylvia Canelon totally customized her theme. So she has a customizing your site, deploying your new site. I think we did everything that she said. We were kind of in the migrating content area. It took us a while. She has a nice little table here for what to copy over. But a lot of this more stuff is going to be just kind of manual, like, you know, it's kind of like project puttering, like you're just going to kind of be doing some gardening over the holidays maybe, or over your New Year's to migrate yourself over. I'm going to leave it as the violet theme because I don't know, for some reason that one like really spoke to me for Julia. Violet. But then you can see that there's a way to do a custom theme here. There's docs on it. You can also change the text here. So there's, or the fonts for the text. I think these are really, really nice options. I'm going to stick with Francis for the headings because I think that, I don't know, again, it kind of fits with Julia for me, but I think she might like Atkinson Hyper Legible for the body font. I think that looks pretty cool. Let's look at the Spice Girls. So this font is really nice because it was designed to be more readable for people with low vision. So one of the things I really like about it is that it's like got a really nice weight to it for old eyes. But then also like the zeros and the O's, for example, are different. The zeros always have a line through them. So it's just a really nice nice font. So I encourage you to test that one out. We've got a few options there, all of them that I really, really like. I think it looks great. So that's it. I am going to clean up my Git real quick. We are going to deploy this and then update configurations. Let's see, did I really call something content about? Okay, so content, the contact form didn't get transferred over correctly. So let's look up content, like it was named untitled. I wouldn't have left that on purpose. Form, make sure it still works. Yes, I don't know why that did that. Commit. Okay. What just happened? Okay. Add license. Update about page. Add blog listing page. Sidebar image. Okay. Again, I'm not going to make changes to any of these like water world, term frequency, all these 2016 things. I think because they were originally HTML posts that blogdown wants to knit them, I would have to look into how to make sure that that does not happen. And maybe that's why Julia had it set to HTML and then she just uses .rmarkdown to markdown. That might be. Add projects, configuration, section file. Okay, I'm gonna take a chance and get rid of those layouts shortcodes rather than committing them, because I don't think she was using them. Layouts, shortcodes. So I think blogdown will regenerate them. So I'm just gonna like flat out. This was also and I've got a low battery, oh no. Okay, the pressure's on. Let's get rid of the layouts file entirely. Pray that nothing breaks. It doesn't look like anything's gonna break. Okay. Let's custom layouts. Okay, so things that we didn't cover were really customization of those different sections. I don't think we need these static ones. I'm going to push and see what the heck happens. I don't think I need this. So I'm assets. So everything else is kind of more this, like, it was custom for her site. For her blog posts that I think she'll know best how to update those. So I'm going to head over to Netlify. I should be getting a branch deploy here momentarily. Or my internet might not be working. Did it allow me? No, it did not allow me to push. Okay, hold tight. I'm gonna go get my charger and check on my Wi-Fi. Oh, wait. Okay, way to cause a girl a heart attack. Okay. Let's refresh Netlify. Okay, building. Okay. In the meantime, because I have not much time left on this, I'm going to go to Dusty Domains and I'm going to submit this on Julia's behalf. Okay. So we have our branch deploy. Different build command. That's good. This all looks totally kosher, really good news. Things are running. That's a happy build. This is good. Deploy site, excellent. Okay. It should update in a second. I think site is live, post-processing. Oh, all those insecure contents. I should do a find and replace real quick, but I have low battery. I'll do it post-show. Okay. So all HTTP should just be HTTPS and then you won't get any of these. Let's see. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, I'm going to submit it. Okay. Here are the awesome charities that Netlify is donating to for these sites. So I'm going to put it under my name because I obviously can't do Julia's. I'm going to stop my share real quick so I can enter my email. Site URL 2021. Okay, and then let's start sharing again. All right, and making Julia's site for charity, I just got a site that contributed $500, and I just bought a domain and shipped the project in the same year. So I hope that this little demo gave you some courage to try out Hugo Apparel, and especially if you have an existing Hugo academic site that you've been terrified to update. I hope this gave you some tools for being able to do that. The last thing that I would do is a blogdown check site. So you can watch some of my other videos or look at my own blog for that. But I think I've accomplished what I wanted to achieve, and I hope that maybe this might help Julia maybe pull the Band-Aid off and switch from Hugo Academic over to Apparel. So thank you for joining me, and have a good rest of your week.